Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to the 26th episode of Prospecting Buddies Digging Deeper podcast with special guest Ray Rusaw from Weather Channel's Frozen Gold, Jaron Colnane, and myself, Harold Bremer. How's everyone doing tonight?
How you doing, Ray? How you doing, brother man?
Oh, doing good. It's the first time I've really done a podcast on Facebook. First time ever.
Well, it's good to have you this evening. I appreciate you taking the time to be able to do this podcast. The funny thing is when we first started hearing about Frozen Gold, we started to get to know the folks who were going to be on Frozen Gold. And, we started seeing posts on social media, stuff like that, and first and foremost, your name had popped up. and I'm like, shit, I'm one of those guys where I gotta know more about you, right? So I ended up going on YouTube. I found your channel and watched quite a few of your videos. I actually talked to both sisters. They actually met up with Shannon. They went down to California, met up with Shannon. So I got in contact with them, started talking with them, and so it was only a matter of time before we got you on the podcast. We had to get you on this evening. So,
the twins. You guys already had the twins on one of these podcasts?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. We're planning and we're hoping that we can get them on either in May or June or July. I know they're going to be pretty busy, but I think that would be absolutely awesome to get them on the podcast as well. So as we always do, Ray, the most famous question that we always ask on all of our episodes is, how the hell did you first get into prospecting? When was it when you first got into prospecting?
Basically, I ended up getting into prospecting. My grandmother showed me prospecting. We were all grew up as rock hounds. My mother and my grandmother were rock hounds. And I've been living in Juneau, Alaska. Well, it's a huge gold community, back in the early days of Alaska, the late 1800s. And I've lived here since 1984. You would think that I would have picked up on gold. I've gone gold panning here in Juneau way years ago, but it just never interested me. And then no more than about 6-8 years ago, well, I guess it's been almost 9 years ago now, my brother wanted I fly down to Wrangell, which is about, 120 miles south of here, to go moose hunting with him up the Stikine River. Well, it was coming up on his birthday, and he was stuck in Haines, Alaska, where Parker Snobel's mine is.
Right.
The Big Nugget mine. And at the time, he was working for Parker's dad, Roger Snobel.
Holy shit.
And, Parker was off and gone, so Robert was actually hanging out with Roger Snobel and then Parker's brother, Payson Snobel.
Wow.
And as a birthday gift, he was stuck and he was all pissy and whiny. My brother was all kind of grumpy. Because he was going to miss moose hunting. His birthday moose hunting starts September 15th, and his birthday is September 30th.
Oh, wow.
He was already missing 15 days of moose hunting, and he was pissed off and grumpy. So, and then he was whining to me about his beaver skin hat, for running the river. It's cold. It died, and my boss had just gave me a big old huge 6-foot long otter skin, a sea otter skin, Alaska sea otter skin. And I cut it up, and I cut up a hat just like that, just like you guys are wearing.
Yeah.
I cut it all up, and then I just kind of hand stitched those sea otter hat all together, and I flew to Haines and surprised him for his birthday with a sea otter skin hat.
That's badass.
That's pretty cool.
That's badass.
Well, as it turned out, Roger was there, with Payson was there, and they wanted to know who was a stranger being on their compound. And I told him, I barked at him. I was being kind of a dick as normal. And it's like, leave us alone. It's his birthday, man. Oh, it's your birthday, Robert? Oh, yeah, whatever, Rogers. Go away. And we got the darn key. He goes, here's the key to the gate. You guys go up there and take the day off tomorrow. You go, well, yeah, it's Sunday. No shit, Sherlock. And we had the key to the Big Nugget mine. So we drove all the way, up the 33 mile, and then went across the Porcupine or the Keene River, then up the road that goes to Porcupine Creek. And then we got into the Big Nugget mine, and we were actually panning the tailings and everything right there at the Big Nugget mine, and we found gold.
That's badass.
So I was instantly, I found a big chunk of gold in the Big Nugget mine. So I was like, this sounds, new hobby time. Ooh.
Hey, it's hook, line, and sinker.
Either get there or don't.
Yep.
So you were hooked. So you were hooked from then. So you went up there. You surprised your brother, and you were hooked from there. Were you going out every other weekend or every month, or were you planning trips to go out and try to find a place to be able to pan and get your own gold, or was that something kind of in the back of your mind?
No, when I got back here to Juneau, I'm pretty good at just studying stuff. And I realized right away, I just started looking up the different groups and looking at some books. I've got a ton of books, and it's like, okay, there's really not much gold in Juneau. It's all locked into hard rock gold. So and then I started looking at where was available and what the regulations were. And I figured out that the only really easy place to get to, because I'm old and I'm lazy, was going to be the beach. Was going to be the tailings in the salt water.
Right.
Because once you're in the salt water, you're away from the fish.
Right.
If you're in any creek, stream, or anything that even looks like there might be a fish in it, oh no.
No touching. Yep.
Fish and game, state troopers, everybody else is going to go, hey man, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I learned real quick to find someplace, and then I realized, then I'm dealing with 200 mesh gold. I mean, it's literally as small as talcum powder.
Oh yeah.
So the study went on and on and on, and that's where I found Gold Hog, and I started trying to find them, and it worked. And the more I played with it, it took me a while. I spent a lot of money. I don't mind spending money. I work hard. I may as well play hard.
That's right.
I finally figured out which combination of mats worked the best. And
so your first, tell us what your first purchase was. What was your first purchase sent to your house that you were all giddy for, ready to open that damn thing up and use on that beach?
I bought it local, a folding sluice box, one of the folding sluice boxes.
That's awesome.
The Royal one.
I think that it's got a sling on it, and you can pack it up the thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And but I didn't like how it sow bellied out. Over time, the more you use it, the more it sow belly out, and you had a hell of a time getting it flow. And
yeah.
And I didn't like how I was having to pan forever, a ton of tailings.
Yeah.
Clean it out, and then shit, I'm bringing home a whole 5-gallon bucket. And it's like, there's got to be an easier way of doing it.
Panning for weeks and weeks to get the spoils.
So the very first thing was actually mailed to my house was actually Gold Hog matting.
Yeah, that's freaking badass.
And it was the Razorbacks. It's like, okay, it kind of sounds like Ray, so yeah, I'll take some of that.
Throw it in the sluice and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So did you end up through Gold Hog? Did you end up getting a banker? What did you end up getting once you upgraded from that cheesy river?
I never actually bought any of Gold Hog's equipment until just recently, really.
Oh wow!
The first thing I bought from Gold Hog in the way of their equipment. Now, I bought a lot of their mat. I've converted an A52 to it, and I've converted my neighbor's A52, and then I built some really long high bankers for the beach. But I built my own, the metal part of it, because I'm a body man by trade. I didn't mind.
So you just built your own and threw the mats in it.
Exactly.
There you
go. I did finally, when Doc came out with that multi-sluice for doing cleanups after the fact, bringing home the thing, I bought that multi-sluice, and oh my God, I instantly fell in love with that.
No more 5-gallon buckets of black sand.
No. And as it turned out, when I went to Greenland, I talked to Doc, and the actual owner of the claim in Greenland, he actually had been wanting it, but it's so expensive to get anything in Greenland.
Yeah.
I ended up buying the whole sluice box, which is huge. My God.
That's a massive, massive setup.
Oh, that thing's bigger than an A52 and heavier too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That thing's a beast.
And actually, Doc kind of I got a hold of Doc while I was in Greenland because he's seen that episode, and he was laughing at me. He goes, "Oh my God, Ray, I think I need to build a smaller one for old people like you because that hurt me. Because that hurt watching you." And that's when he made the small one, and I bought the small one. Just came in the mail the other day. It's like, all right, Doc, I'll take a smaller one. Thank you. I'll buy a small salute from you.
That is too damn funny. So, so that would be my next question, and I'm sure a lot of different people watching right now. I think that would be our next question. Would be so you transitioned. How the hell did you end up in Greenland?
YouTube.
That is just, that question has had its massive aurora around it. Is how the hell did Ray end up in Greenland of all places?
Well, YouTube is a pretty exciting place. YouTube is pretty exciting, and every now and then you get lucky on YouTube.
Yeah, I agree.
My first real TV experience with anything was through YouTube. When that young Inuit or Athabascan lady up in Bethel, I think is where she's from, Ariel Tweedo.
Oh yeah.
The TV crew contacted me and wanted to know if I would allow Ariel to be out on my floating dredge and go try to get some gold here in Juneau. I said, I don't give a shit. I talked to my boss, and my boss, sure, she'll give me a hand. My boss gave me a little bit of time off and kind of came down and helped me watch the dredge and all that crap. And soaking wet day, and that tough little gal stuck with me all day, and we went and panned some gold and did some dredging. And so YouTube gave me that video. And then 2 years later, Brian Weed here, he's got a hell of a Facebook page, Juneau's Hidden Histories. He ended up getting contacted by another TV crew about Juneau's histories.
Oh, wow.
The hidden creeks, what started the gold rush in Juneau. And I ended up being on that TV program for just a quick a sound bit for that one. And then it turned around, and then next thing you know, here's the offer to go to, actually two of them at one time. One of them was to go down to California or down to the Colorado, basically the same program what Kevin Hoagland's got right now, the Lost Aztec Gold one.
Oh, okay, the Lost Aztec
Right.
Gold, yeah.
So at this point, where's your head at with all that?
Yeah, where's your head at? Yeah, with
getting approached by television shows, yada yada. What's going through your head at that point in time?
I'm kind of it's still to this day, I'm kind of hopeful that I could actually do enough of the TV shit that I might get away from body work. I'm now 39 years bending fenders and Bondo and lacquer thinner, but I've learned the hard lesson. TV sucks, people. Nobody watches TV no more, and TV don't pay nothing.
Yeah.
TV really don't pay nothing. I mean, they say, well, it pays off in fame, and glory. It's like, no. I mean, unless you're
Ain't no glory here. Come on.
Unless you're the Kardashians or something like that, you're not going to be famous.
Well, the way I look at it, with the way things have changed in the last 10, 15 years is, I've noticed a lot of different, and I won't say specific individuals on specific streaming apps, but I've noticed that, they start to build somewhat of their own brand, so they take their, and it's pretty genius. If you ask me, it's pretty genius how they do this, because they take that TV fame and all the stuff that's going on with TV and this, that, and the other, them being on it, and they take that and they actually bring that into their own branding, their own small LLC, right. And then that becomes a profitable business for many, many years to come, and that's strictly off of their TV fame. So, you know, some of those individuals I applaud because that is transitioning with what you just mentioned. TV don't pay shit. You know, TV doesn't, you know, so transitioning.
Branding is hard to do. Branding is very hard to do.
It is.
You know, what is a tricky brand? You know, and that's where I kind of, you know, in a sense, I kind of screwed up to begin with because I didn't think about a branding when I started my YouTube page.
Right.
I'm not going to change my YouTube page now. My YouTube page is Ray Rusaw. Well, how do you brand your own name? It's very conceited.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing too, because, you know, there's a couple other guys, again, I won't mention, but there's a couple other guys that didn't necessarily get TV fame. They started with YouTube. And I think what they did is transitioned, because if you look at all their old workings, that's basically what they did. Is they started out with a name and they came to your conclusion. It was like, well, shit, what do I do now? And they added or subtracted one simple thing, put a logo, and bam, now it's taken off dramatically, you know? So with what you got going on, I mean, you got a massive, massive following on YouTube from what I've seen. I mean, the two little twitches and changes that you change around,
yeah,
that would be, you know, you got me as a follower, that's for damn sure. So,
and I don't know, you know, I actually kind of got my start with the stupid camera right there, and there's the camera. Hi, camera. How
this
you doing?
guy right there.
I got my start with the camera in the year 2000 because in the year 2000, my oldest son graduated Juneau Douglas High School right here in Juneau.
Right.
And I told all my kids when I was raising them all the way from the time they were little tiny, you get one free summer. You don't have to really do a damn thing at home as long as you're going to school and you got the grades to pass through school.
Right.
You graduate as a senior in high school, you get one free summer, and you're getting the fuck out of my house. You know, you got to go become useful citizens of the United States.
Yep, taxpayers.
You know, yeah, you got to become a taxpayer. You're like,
woo! Yay, taxpayers!
Well, he decided to go U.S. Army. That was the only way he could truly think of to get out of the house. And irritated the shit out of me that he went. I didn't mind that U.S. Army. I mean, I love U.S. Army.
Yeah.
But he went tanker. Like, son, where the hell? What? How many tanks do you see running up and down the streets of Juneau, Alaska? There ain't no freaking tanks in Juneau, Alaska.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know,
maybe that's his plan. Maybe he's planning on bringing some tanks.
He's
back.
bringing tanks into Juneau now.
So anyhow, he and this is right at 2000. He goes to what's that big one there in Kentucky? Fort Knox. It's right there, Fort Knox or Fort Bragg or something like that in Kentucky, where this big training thing is for the Abrams. Next thing you know, he's getting shipped out to Kuwait.
Holy shit!
To the initial assault into Baghdad. And they would only allow him a few minutes every day to get on a camera through what was that old program? MySpace.
Oh wow! Holy shit!
That was the only certified legal way to be able to communicate at that time with my son in Kuwait was MySpace.
Holy shit! That's some classified information there. Now it's declassified.
Yeah. So basically, that's where I got a camera so I could actually talk to my son when he was all the way in Kuwait. And once I had the camera and I didn't mind being in front of the camera, it was in front of me then. Then I thought about, well, now that he's over there, I may as well, you know, I've got to do something. I was flying model airplanes for years, and it's like, well, let's just start filming all this shit. Let's film the model airplanes. I'm going to build a Harley, and I'm going to film the Harley, and then I can go ahead and YouTube came up, and I figured out that Okay, if I put it on YouTube, then he could, at his leisure, once in a while,
See it.
get on YouTube
Yep.
and view what Dad was doing.
Wow.
That's
Holy
great.
crap. Wow.
So that's how the YouTube started for me, and then the YouTube turned into, you know,
A lot of different possibilities for you.
it's kind of a weird, you know, it's a weird long life cycle. 22 years later, here I am.
Well, you know, I personally got to say from hearing that is such a great experience overall. I mean, from start to finish, because, you know, a lot of folks, even young or old, haven't ever even used YouTube. I'm sure they've watched videos. I'm sure, you know, YouTube's crossed their mind multiple times. But as far as getting in front of the camera and filming yourself and being comfortable and yada, 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 you know, so the experience that you had from the beginning, just to make sure that your son can see videos, you can chat with your son while he's over there, you know, kicking ass and taking names. That right there in itself, aside from the gold, is absolutely freaking epic.
Yeah, it's, you know, and now that my kids are grown up, my oldest son is gone. You know, he's down there in Puyallup, Washington, and then my middle son, he's a drywaller. You know, he got into drywalling here in Juneau. Well, he ended up moving down to the Salem, Oregon, I think, area. I believe he's in the Salem. Well, he was in Portland, but he said screw Portland. And
yeah, Portland. No.
But fortunately, my youngest son, he's still in Juneau, and then my daughter's still in Juneau. So daughters are really about the only one that ever comes back by, but she always likes money. Hey, Dad, I'm hungry.
Not for food.
Have any of them got into the train of looking for gold?
No.
No.
And they never got into flying model airplanes either. I mean, it's really odd, you know. It's here I flew. I mean, they've seen me building model airplanes since they were just little baby kids building model airplanes. Not one of them built a model airplane. They've
What's
all.
What's the biggest one you built?
Biggest airplane I built was wingspan was 110 inches. What's that? 9 feet.
That's a
Damn.
22 pounds, 22 or 24 pounds, something like that.
That's pretty cool.
Holy shit.
There's one right there.
You gonna build some remote control mining equipment?
There's a float plane right there.
Holy crap. That's a massive model airplane. I was thinking model airplanes.
Almost an 8-foot ceiling. There's the wing for it.
Jeez. When I think of model airplanes, I think of them little dinky things that you can go buy at the hobby store to fly around with a small. I don't. Yeah, my mind doesn't think of this big monstrous ass.
Oh, that's I mean, when I was a kid in Muncie, Indiana, we had them little tiny plastic Cox 049.
Yeah, spin the rubber band up.
Well, no, I like the gas ones. You know, you put the little Cox 049 on it, and you fill the little bladder up full of the white gas, and
yeah.
Battery to it, and you hope like hell you get your finger out of the way fast enough, and
it takes off. Yeah.
You grab a hold of the swing and you go round and round and round and round until it runs out of gas.
So I definitely got to ask, getting back on the topic with Greenland, having that opportunity to be able to go to Greenland, you know, I know as TV series, there basically is a prescript, or not necessarily a prescript, but kind of some sort of formula for what goes on and whatnot. You know, so you going into this Greenland situation, you flying out there, you know, once you got the boots on the ground, what were kind of the thoughts going through your head as far as you know, how you were going to personally, Ray Rusaw, approach this situation, day in and day out with the filming?
Well, I really didn't know, because again, TV sucks. They didn't tell us nothing. This is also, especially this particular production company, they are more into the reality TV shows. You know, the Married Wives Club or whatever, whatever the hell.
Yeah.
So they don't really, at that point, I had not met a single one of the cast members. When I landed in Greenland, I had not met, actually when I landed in Iceland, because I had to fly from Juneau to Seattle. And then there was a straight through flight from Seattle, Washington, all the way to, I'm going to screw up the name, Reykjavik, Iceland. Reykjavik, Iceland, the very southern part of Iceland.
Holy shit.
And at that point, when I landed in Iceland, I had not met a single other person from the entire crew.
Did they tell you just head to the hotel room? We'll come and knock in the morning?
Well, they told me there was going to be somebody there with a sign, saying, "Hi, Ray Rusaw," and I didn't see him. I did not see the guy for nothing. And then I seen this one young guy just kind of racing around everywhere. And, it made sense. He was about the only, person that didn't look. He looked as confused as I was. And sure enough, he ended up being, that was Eric. And then we finally found, and it was a big mess. The production company had everything screwed up. There was the wrong hotel. We had to get a different hotel, and then there was all kinds of COVID testing, and
he's just on a wild ride over there.
He thought looking for gold was going to be the fun ride.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, it was absolutely.
Little did he know.
And then, so I had started to trickle in and meet one or two of the people, but they kind of kept us all separated, so I didn't know everybody either. Still at that point. And then they end up chartering a twin propellered aircraft that was going to go from Reykjavik, Iceland to Narsarsuaq, Greenland, the only big airport in the very south part of Greenland. So that was the first time I'd actually seen every cameraman, the sound guy, the producer,
all of them.
We all on the same airplane at the one time. But they kind of kept it separated enough to where we really hadn't had a chance to talk to nothing.
So you guys pack into this dual engine plane and y'all are sitting quiet. There's so much tension in that air. I'd imagine. Who's this guy? Who's this person? Is that person digging with me?
Because I didn't know for a fact. Well, the camera guys was obvious. Yeah. The camera guy and the sound guy was obvious. Because they're going to go over there and they're going to, hey, let me peek down your shirt and you put this down.
Yeah, they're doing that.
And you stuff this up your butt over here, and and there's a guy right there. It's like, now don't look at the camera. Don't look at the camera. Okay, motherfucker, I got you. So we all land in Greenland, and they instantly shuttle us to the only hotel, which is like a 1940s hospital.
Holy crap.
U.S. Army. They shove us in a room, and then all of a sudden, and here's the producer guy, Sam Brown. He's like, okay, this guy here, this is Ray Rusaw. He's going to be your boss for the next 3 months. What? I didn't know. I had no clue.
Holy crap.
And here's the twins across the way, and there's Ellie across the way. There's Christian Treadwell across the way, and none of us knew what the plans were.
And how long at that point had you been looking for gold in total? What kind of experience is a miner at that
point? Prospector, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't know what everybody had. I had no idea. I didn't know.
Wow.
I did not know what everybody's abilities were. I didn't know.
So at that point in time, I definitely do have to ask. So at that point in time, so I can imagine the amount of stuff going through your head. You're an old timer now. You've been through a lot of shit in your life, ups, downs, left, right. So here you are. You're in Greenland. Don't know what the heck's going on. How so? Did the producers come to you and say, "Hey, we're going to start filming tomorrow"? And if they did do that, what were you thinking? Did you
Well,
kind of have a game plan, or was it kind of?
I did have an ace up my sleeve, and I did cheat a little bit. Speaking, being the old timer. Okay, I had started studying October of the year before. When they told me I was going to do a gold show, and they asked me to go ahead and look at Greenland, if I was going to be in Greenland, where would I find gold? So I went to the Ministry of Minerals map. Basically, it's the U.S. geological map for Greenland minerals.
Yeah, the geological surveys.
And I identified 2 areas, and then I was comparing that map right there with Google Earth. I had them side by side on the screen. I split the 2 screens together. It's like, okay, what is not too steep? What is actually got, and I'm thinking placer mining. I'm not thinking hard rock mining or nothing.
Right.
And I identified 2 areas, one in the very south tip that had gold with granite. It was going to be kind of sparse, but there was bigger mines. And then there was way in the north, up in the North Greenland, up in Disco Bay, there was gold and copper. It actually was a better looking river, but my problem with that area was there was like 6 open active glaciers calving ice into the ocean.
Holy shit.
So I was extremely worried that, if we were on that river,
you can get an overflow.
Have over and block the entrance to that river.
Yeah.
And then we'd be stuck. We wouldn't, the only way to get in and out of there at that point would be a helicopter.
Right. With good weather.
So when I finally identified where I wanted to go in South Greenland, somewhere down South Greenland, I started eyeballing around and finding out, okay, where's the mines? Who's got mines? What kind of mining is down there? What kind of equipment is down there? And without Renowned Films knowing it, I met the claim owner on the side.
Oh, wow.
Through Facebook, basically through Facebook. I kept eyeballing and studying until I finally met the claim owner.
Holy shit.
So that was always my back of my mind. I didn't know what was really available in Greenland because there is a language barrier, even though speaks both.
Right.
But I knew there was an ace up my sleeve that we were going in an area that had a creek that he was finding some gold.
Right.
I just had to go from the airport all the way down to his claim. I mean, because it was like a 2-hour boat ride from the airport to the next town, and then another hour and a half from that town to the next town, and then another 20 minutes from that town out to the claim.
Wow. Holy shit.
Really, the TV doesn't really show it, but we were actually very, very remote.
Wow.
We were out in the bush.
Out in the boonies.
There was nothing there. I mean, there's no roads, there's no people, there's no cars, there's no nothing.
Well, one thing I do got to say, out of all the craziness behind the camera, I do got to say that I was genuinely pleased with the episodes. I was genuinely pleased, and everything that they decided to put on camera with you specifically and the twins was awesome. I was genuinely hooked, sitting on my couch in my home, watching the episodes. They were exciting because, it was the adventure to the next situation. It was that, like you said earlier, TV, unfortunately, nowadays is all about the drama, but sometimes that drama is actually pretty exciting when it comes to your next big discovery or your next big, so it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes you see TV shows that absolutely, that's the only thing they play on is breakdowns and this, that, and the other. And you actually don't see a whole hell. You probably see about 5 minutes worth of the whole hour show or 45-minute show of the gold cleanup and what the gold looks like. So
we didn't get a chance to do any real gold mining until the very last episode, the very last week.
Right.
Very last week. There's other problems that they did not show. The biggest problem, I swear to God, the biggest problem I had, I didn't have no hoses. I had pumps.
Oh, shit.
And I had lay flat hose. I had lay flat hose that I could stretch from here to the supermarket.
Right.
You think I had a single stick of intake line? Nope.
No solid line. Shit.
No solid line. I had no solid line. I was jerry rigging and trying to patch and do everything I could. I mean, I literally made phone calls to every town all the way to the capital of Anook, and
you couldn't find any.
None. There's none.
Holy shit!
None in Greenland. The closest I could have came was Denmark.
Whoa!
And we couldn't have got it from Denmark there in time.
What kind of placer mining goes on in Greenland? I mean, it doesn't sound like there's none, right? So that's why you can't find anything.
Right. See,
wow.
Greenland, all these years, Greenland's actually been owned by Denmark. All these many years, Greenland was owned by Denmark. It wasn't until 2018 that Greenland got its independence. Well, it got partial independence.
2018?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, partial independence from Denmark. So now Greenland is actually a country now. Sorta. Greenland is finally, but they are still heavily dependent on the financial system of Denmark.
Right.
Are they on the euro?
No, it's the Danish krone. The Danish krone.
Wow.
You know, I don't ask me what a krone is because that's what they what they use.
That's what they're on.
My American dollars. I had a kind of a fistful of American dollars. None of the stores would take it.
Holy shit!
And then a couple of the banks I went to, it's like no. You go to that bank.
Holy shit!
So basically, you know where
Let's throw Ray in Greenland with a fat stack of cash of American dollars in a 19-something hospital that's probably haunted to shit.
Yeah.
They're probably going to be like, throw a polar bear in there now.
No, fuck that. I've been chewed on by a bear once in my life. I ain't doing that again.
Holy shit! Wow. So I mean, the gist that I took from the whole show itself, when I talked to, I want to say her name is Tiffany, correct? Tiffany and Kimberly.
Yep.
Some bears kill. He even got a book. I love it.
Unfortunately, I am in that book.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But yeah, no. So I spoke with them previously a little bit. It was basically sent a message, got a message back, but they seem like some really awesome individuals, and like we were talking earlier, I'd love to get them on the podcast and really pick their brain a little bit on their experiences with the show, their experiences in prospecting, where they got their start, because they seem like very bright, outgoing individuals. Is that something that you could safely say, Ray?
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely, for a person to be able to jump in front of a camera, you have to be self-aware.
Right.
And those two girls, they've enjoyed, because their parents were in a band, and those two girls have been in a band. So they have been on a stage. They are comfortable with being on a stage and singing and entertaining people. Right. And they were able to bring that confidence, because without that confidence, you wouldn't have been able to go to Greenland.
Right.
You have to have your self-worth and your self-confidence. They had difficulties understanding my,
Ways of doing things.
I had a timeline of things set up that I wanted done. I had a
Ways
timeline
of doing things.
set up and done. But they were also from California. California, you go anywhere, you're going to go to a bedrock crack and you're going to snipe and you're going to find chunky gold.
Right.
Well, I'd already previously talked to Alexander and I knew the gold was similar to Juneau. It's 100 mesh gold at best.
Fine.
And you got to go through yards of it.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I could not communicate very well with them. For one, I'm not supposed to just irritate somebody and get them thrown off when I'm way all the hell out in the middle.
Yeah.
So I had to be diplomatic as I could, and I couldn't just ream their ass and say, no, I need you to do it this way.
Right.
So they were stuck on that set of bedrock, and I could not get them off of it because they just didn't understand. I couldn't communicate what we needed to do.
Right.
And they couldn't grasp the idea that the gold would be, loose everywhere.
Yeah. Super fine.
And loose. And I couldn't find the concentration. I believe the gold's there. I mean, I still to this day believe the gold's there. And there's going to be somewhere that's going to be concentrated. But for the most part, I could not find the concentration of it anywhere.
Right. Right. Well, I think Greenland is so unexplored as far as minerals go, and I mean, the further we get into the future, obviously, as far as shows go, as far as people actually having active claims over there, and with Greenland becoming its own country, that's a whole nother. In 2018, that's recent. That's extremely recent. So all those factors playing into finding the appropriate concentrations of gold. I think that will come further down the road, but there's just, like you said earlier, it's so remote that it's extremely hard to really get the proper equipment up there to even test to be able to find somewhat of a concentration.
Yeah, because I mean, there's only 2 countries allowed to fly into Greenland. You're only allowed to fly in from Iceland, or you're allowed to fly in from, commercial flights.
Right.
Denmark. Now,
Right.
there is a few private flights that happen from Canada, the far northeastern Canada. There's a few private flights fly back and forth
Right.
from Newfoundland. But commercial airlines, commercial flights only happen either from Iceland or Denmark. It's the only way.
Well, and getting equipment over there, I'm sure is a task and a half, just trying to get the proper equipment over there. And then on
700 pounds worth of luggage.
Right.
My luggage was 700 pounds because I knew I didn't have the time to ship that we're over there. So I brought a lot of my own. I got a hold of H&B Mining down there in California. I got the nozzles, and I ordered some intake hose, some 4-inch intake hose, for a dry land dredge, because that was my plan. I was going to build that dry land dredge.
Right.
Well, then I didn't realize I didn't have the pump, so the dry land dredges went out the road, and there was no 4-inch pump. So that was no good. And then the other thing about we were talking about Greenland finally getting its independence. Well, at that point, Greenland kind of started demanding from AEX, which is a Denmark company, that you have to, because AEX pretty much had the mineral rights to the entire country.
Holy shit.
So
that's a whole another ball game.
So they started demanding that you need to turn over some of these areas that you've already prospected and has got material there to the local population. And Alexander just happens to be one of those guys that heard about it and applied for it and got what AEX Mine has already drilled and said that there was gold there.
Oh, wow.
Now they did not give Alexander the drill reports. I mean, exactly.
Right.
They knew that it was there.
Right. Well, and I'm sure it's a really, really, really finicky situation. You don't have, you don't have BLM over there. You don't have, there's certain setups, and I'll say this because I know there's some folks watching that's going to say FBLM, yada yada yada, and it like me and Shannon Poe was talking, like how we were talking. There's specific states in the United States that BLM is phenomenal. They're right on point. They're, they get everything that needs to be done as far as paperwork goes. They're super cool. And then there's other states where BLM is horrible. And then there's states where it's someone else controlling the situation. And, so with Greenland, if you have one specific entity saying that they own all of the mineral rights there, I'm sure it's just a complete nightmare as an outsider to go over there and try to make really anything happen. I mean, it just would be a complete nightmare. So,
is there special permitting for water there?
Basically, you just have to file your plan with the Ministry of Minerals, and then they let you go. You're allowed to self-govern your stuff, but you have to follow your plan that you submitted to them. And then when you're all done, if you're all done with that, they are going to send their ministers to verify that you did exactly what's in your plan.
Right.
So the holes that we dug there in Greenland, eventually Alexander is going to have to go back in there and fill them holes back up.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to have to flatten the land back down again.
Do
now,
reclamation and take care of all that. Yeah.
That's right. Now, one of the things that was kind of a bummer, we just didn't have time to do it, is we wanted to cross that river. We were not allowed to cross that river because we did not have culverts, and we did not have the permission to put culverts in that river. Well, he's got the permits to put the culverts in now. We could have actually gone and been there this year, but there was also another couple of nest eggs that happened that I really can't get into.
Right.
But Alexander's also he's scored two massive contracts. Finally, the town of Kukortok, the biggest city in all of South Greenland, where Alexander lives, is going to be getting an international airport.
Wow.
So he's already contracting to build the road to the new airport.
Wow.
And then the other thing, the mine that you see me fly to, the AEX mine, I from Alex and went the one fjord over. It's only one fjord over. They've been drilling that a lot. They hit a seam 168 grams a ton.
Holy shit.
So Alexander just got the contract to build a road to punch in a new portal.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's an insane amount of gold.
It's gold on quartz.
My next question would be, aside from all of this, that's been literally like pondering. We get a question here, 168 a ton. Yeah. So, okay. He says, hell yes, after. I'm like, yeah, 168 grams a ton. I heard that my own self.
Yeah. That's 5.5 ounces a ton.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Alan Barnett says, I'll take that, baby.
Actually, if you give me a half a second, I could probably show a picture of that I got from Alex.
That would be absolutely badass. In fact, do you have your messenger up, Ray?
Right now. Let's see. Where's that picture?
That is absolutely badass. While he's looking for that picture, I'm going to give some shout outs here. We got quite a bit of people in the building this evening, and it's pretty awesome to see some of these names in here. I really appreciate you guys. We got Evergreen Prospectors in here this evening. We got Billiams Golden Tails. We got, let's see, who else we got here? Chris Hayes, Christy Parham. Shout out
Christy,
to,
what's up?
what's up, Christy? Shout out to Malcolm Roberts. We got Lithic Metals in here. What's up? Let's
Oh, Lithic
see.
Metals in here, man. That guy does some beautiful pours, man.
Hell yeah, he does. He does some badass pours for sure. Let's see who else we got in the building here. We got HD Shovel Ed. We got Mr. Ed Marvin in the building. What's up, brother? Happy times. We got Chuck Butler in the building. What up, Chuck?
Chucky.
We got Sergio in the building. Let's see who else we got here in the building this evening. Man, we got a bunch of awesome people in here. Heavy Meadow Detective. What's up, brother, man? Good deal. Good deal. Good deal.
Apparently,
good deal.
no, actually, he sent it to my phone, so I can't share it. I can't. I'm sorry about that, guys. I lied. It's actually a private one on the phone.
No worries. No worries at all. Let's see. So there's a question that just popped up, Ray, and I do have to display it because it's pretty funny. Heavy Metal Detective says, ask Ray who is tougher, the bear or his boss.
Well, the bear was actually tougher, but the meaner part, I'd say my boss is meaner.
Oh, awesome.
I work with a woman in the body shop industry. My boss is a woman, and she was also a painter. And never in my life I would have thought that I had seen a woman in my career, and she is the most badass
Tough as nails.
Life, man.
Tough as nails.
In my ass.
That's awesome. That's absolutely badass. So the question that I did want to bring up before we jumped on the 5-minute break was, and I'm sure you've asked yourself this, Ray, I don't doubt it one bit, why Greenland? Of all places that the show could have been filmed and you know, you guys prospecting, why Greenland? Is there a definitive answer to that?
I would say just because it is the last unexplored spot. I mean,
Right.
and there's nobody there. That country is as big. It'll stretch from Canada all the way to Texas.
Jeez.
And there's only 56,000 people on the entire island. Nobody's there.
How much of it's actually covered in snow?
99% of it.
So that really
what's the temperature? That's my question. What the hell is the
That's what I like is, okay, Kakortok, Greenland is at the 60 parallel of the Earth.
Right.
Juneau, Alaska is at 58.
Right.
So going to Greenland to me was like going home.
You were used
to the wrong ocean. I was just in the wrong ocean.
You were used to it.
Yeah. And I tell you, I loved it, you know, and you know, I've been here in Southeast Alaska. We have Alaska natives here, the Tsimshians, the Tlinkits, the Haidas, Athabaskan, Inuits.
Wow.
You know, and I've learned to be able to be very, very comfortable with the way they talk. And the Inuit language, the Greenlandic language, though I couldn't understand it, it was very pleasing to me because the sounds are about the same.
Similar.
You know the way they'll put their teeth together and the way they'll pull it from the really back of their throat and talk.
Right.
To me, it was very comfortable. I enjoyed being in Greenland. It was very comfortable to me.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome.
The people and the climate. I loved it. What amazed me was Greenland's hungry. There's no food.
Really?
No food. I'm used to the Pacific Ocean. We have hundreds of whales come here to Juneau. We have thousands of seals. We have sea otters. We have.
You guys got the best seafood that you could possibly imagine, and the most freshest of the freshest.
Cod.
Yeah.
Halibut,
the whole works.
Crab, snow crab, everything. because there's so much. The water is so rich in krill and plankton. The Atlantic Ocean is not that rich.
Wow.
I mean, it's really not. I was amazed. I mean, even looking in the water here, you'll see sea anemones, sea cucumbers, kelp everywhere. Some of it edible, some of it's not edible.
Yeah.
Lichen on the rocks. There's not enough food.
Just scarce.
They're starving. So
wow.
if you're swimming or walking, you better watch your ass because you're gonna get ate. You're on the dinner table.
We're gonna open up a food truck over there.
So when you go into the grocery store and you look at bananas, you go like, really? How many days ago was that picked?
4 for $35. I'll pass on that.
That was the other thing. Dry lentil beans. Like your black-eyed pea lentils or your Great Northerns or pinto beans. There's none. They don't have them in the store.
Right. That's crazy.
The food selection was really strange. I mean, the meat counter was incredible. Okay, right. Here's your muskox, and here's your reindeer meat, and here's your seal, and here's your whale meat, and and here's your muktuk, and I mean the meats. You're going to eat a lot of meat, and here's every kind of variety of.
Wow, that's insane. So wow, that's crazy. That blows my mind because here in the States, at least, I live over here in Spokane, Washington, and what blows my mind now more than ever, I guess you could say, because before the pandemic, it was just, basic world living, right? But after the pandemic, our meat scarcity blows my mind. I'll go to, and I'm not talking just one specific grocery store. I'm talking a lot of the grocery stores. You can't find this kind of meat or this kind of meat. And if you do, there's 1 or 2 left and it's super high priced. And, but there's plenty of vegetables, plenty of fruits, plenty of vegetables. I mean, there's just an absurd amount, any and all you ever need. But as far as the meat goes, it's just extremely scarce. And so to hear that, over in Greenland, their meat is plentiful, but it's the opposite side.
Yeah, there is no fresh vegetables, but there's every kind of meat you can imagine. I mean, that is, they live on meat.
Yeah.
I mean, the Greenlandic people live on high protein diets.
Yeah.
And they put sauce on everything. I mean, you know how Americans like to make jokes about how much mayonnaise you put on a sandwich?
Yeah.
You ain't seen how much mayonnaise you put on a damn sandwich in freaking Greenland.
When you order a sandwich in Greenland or a burger in Greenland, they give you your own bottle of mayonnaise.
No. It's already packed around the meat and
it's cooked into the meat.
Yeah. If you pull out a piece of lettuce, it's like, ugh, really?
It's starting to look like wow, that blows my mind. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our 5-minute break real quick. That way we can all hit the restroom, grab another drink, whatever it may be. The second part of the episode, if you still have enough time, Ray, second part of the episode, we'd love to talk about final results. We'd love to talk about what's coming up, and also what you have personally in your life going on. Things we could look forward to with maybe some new YouTube videos and such. So with that, and I'm hoping too, because I'm subscribed to you now, Ray. So I need something out of you. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break. Everybody watching, I hope you're enjoying the episode as much as I am and as much as Arrow is. I love the hell out of this guy. This guy is just a wealth of knowledge, just a really down-to-earth guy. So with that being said, let's go hit the 5-minute break real quick, come back, and we'll have a second part of the podcast.
Go Beans.
Good deal. See you guys in 5 minutes. Well, we are back on the second part of the podcast with Mr. Ray Rusaw from the Weather Channel's hit show, Frozen Gold. First and foremost, I want to say I appreciate all of you guys sitting here enjoying this podcast this evening with the three of us. Ray, I really appreciate the hell out of you making sure to take the time to come over to the podcast and bullshit with a couple of guys who genuinely enjoy just as much as you do the Gold Fever. So
I was amazed at the amount of the comments on YouTube, man. There's a lot on there.
it blows my mind. Everybody knows you, Ray. That's crazy. How is that?
I kind of I was going to try to scroll through the comments, the 98 comments it says, but I for some reason can't scroll through them and see them.
Well, I think you got to subscribe to our channel so you can see them.
Okay.
I thought I was subscribed to it. It says I joined.
Well, he probably is subscribed. Let's see. No, there is a quite a bit of comments, and it's pretty freaking awesome because all the guys here, even Lithic Metals, I mean, all the guys here are just thrilled to have you here. I'm thrilled to have you here. Everybody's freaking beyond thrilled to have you here.
Shout out to Evergreen. What's up?
Evergreen Prospector, my man Rico, man. Rico won. Actually, I'll be really nice. I'll be nice. When there's a wee bit more open than some of the conversations I've had before.
No, it's awesome to have all of these guys here this evening, and Ray, it's good to have you here. The funny thing was, we're slowly transitioning with the Digging Deeper podcast. My good brother of mine, James, he got a absolutely phenomenal opportunity to do this, gold mining full time, go out there and really get it done. So I'm very, it's a bittersweet moment. It's like one of your best friends that you've known your whole life, so to speak, that kind of feeling that you have that connection, and they're off doing their own thing. And it's like, shit, so James is transitioning into that. And, Arrow, the greenhorn on the podcast deal, I decided, hey man, we got to get you on here. We got to get you, meeting all of these awesome people and this podcast,
exciting. I'm learning. I got to get used to this whole talking to people.
Well, it's funny, Ray. It's funny, Ray, because before the podcast, he was a little bit nervous. Don't tell me you weren't, Arrow. He was a little nervous, and I dropped a bombshell on him, Ray, and I told him, I said, you're going to bring us into the podcast. And he kind of sat back for a minute. Kind of did
I didn't do too bad.
You did great, man. You did great. That's for damn sure. But with that being said, let's get into the second part of the podcast. We were talking a little bit about future plans and things like that. So with that being said, this next question would have to be, what are your plans as far as your future for gold mining and gold prospecting and placer mining, and what are kind of some of the goals and plans you have as far as your future goes in placer mining and maybe hard rock mining when it comes to it?
I really would truly like to build the same exact sluice box that I built in Greenland. That is a really neat design. I actually designed that darn thing myself, that I could potentially do 3 different ways. My thought patterns on that was I could actually literally have 2 guys running 2 4-inch Hydroforce nozzles on a beach.
Wow.
Or I could actually, if I wanted to, it's wide enough and big enough, I could put a single 6-inch dredge into that. The limitations I have right now, the big limitation I have into that would be building the float for it.
Right. Right.
You know, and looking, I mean, just that. You also got to remember too, you know, when you're going something that big, it don't have to be the 12 feet long. I've kind of learned that with the Gold Hog mat, it's kind of, even with this finest sand and you're sucking in yards of material into it, 10 foot is about all I need. But the way metal works out, 12 foot, may as well use it because,
Right.
you know, 3, 6, 9, 12, or, you know, 4, 8, 12, one or the
Right.
other, however you want to build it. 12 foot works out pretty good. 8 foot can be a little bit too short when you're dealing with that many yards and that much.
That quick, yeah.
You know, because when you're dealing with like potentially twin 4-inch, that's a lot of water.
Right.
Or a single 6, that's a lot of water.
Right.
And a lot of water, it doesn't matter what kind of, whether you're using Hungarian riffles or whether you're using, you know,
expanded metal, you're using
mats or Gold Hog mats or any of them.
Right.
Shoving that much water and that much material through it, it's real easy to blow the damn everything out.
Right. Especially as fine as gold is in Greenland.
Right.
It'd be very easy.
So that would be one of my goals, is to actually build another one of those here in Juneau. I might have just recently found an opportunity to get to go play in another spot of tailings here in Juneau. I can't say much about it, but I haven't actually gone to the area yet and seen the tailings from an old mine. And I don't know what the water situation is going to be in this area. But there's a possibility of some videos coming up that me running a high banker up in the woods at an old mine site rather than being on the beach. I look forward to doing a video sometime this summer with a sluice box that's a hell of a lot easier to pack than the other Gold Hog.
Well, Ray, the awesome thing is PB has been expanding. Prospecting Buddy has been expanding with. I can't say too much with what's coming up very shortly, but we have been expanding, and you know, we got really good friends over there in Alaska, believe it or not. And, you know, we have a few things that are happening over in Alaska that if they play out really well, you know, we definitely love to get a hold of you and have you a part of it. You know, that'd be solely in your discretion. And of course, you know, there'd be a lot of private conversations and yada, yada. But we do have a couple of different really good prospects going over in Alaska. And hopefully that would be something that you'd be interested in.
Well, there's a lot of spots in Alaska, but the thing about it is travel in Alaska is not near.
It's not like jumping in a truck and going on a highway or a freeway. Yeah.
The landlocked community. I mean, there is no roads in or out of here.
Yeah.
I've got to fly or float. I've got to fly or float out of here. So leaving Juneau is very expensive.
It's got to be worth your time. It's got to be worth your effort, physically, mentally. You know, it's going to be
a full-time job.
Right.
You know, I've got a full-time job, and I'm probably not going to be able to retire for another at least 3 years.
Right.
You know, I'm 59 years old now, and as soon as you can retire, I think it's 62.
So, Arrow, take this note down. When he retires in 3 years, we're going to give him a call, and we need him to take care of some land for us.
Send him this clip of the show. Okay. Remember this?
You remember this? You said 3 years. Where are you at, Ray? What's going on? Let's go here, Ray.
A lot of it all comes down to money. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
It's easy to say that you want to go ahead and travel the world and all that right there, but it's not so damned easy to do it. My goals sooner or later is I want to go to Flash Bash with Ed Marvin. If I had the money, I'd be going down to the Ohio Gold Show in May this year.
Right.
To see Tim Grimes and Rich Cooley and Thomas Pennyweight. And I mean, there's a whole list of really big time gold miners, at least on Gold Prospector Space, that I'll be hanging out in Ohio and just mere weeks away.
Right.
And then I've still got the opportunity. My baby brother's down there in California, right there in, just north of Placerville. He's got 40 acres of gold land. He's got 40 acres, and he's actually built me a smoking room so I can have a cigarette.
You need to get your ass down there, Ray. You need to quit procrastinating, save some money up, quit spending your damn money on them planes, and get your ass on a real plane, get down there and spend some time with your little brother.
Oh, I dearly love to do that. I would dearly love to do it. But, again, you also got to realize my boss let me go screw off for 3 months last year. I'm getting severely punished for it. You asked what I was going to be doing when I got back from Greenland. There's a Chevelle.
Oh wow, that's a beautiful Chevelle. And let me guess the year on that Chevelle. Just give me a second. Let me look at the front.
Actually, there is no front on it.
That's 68. 68?
No, it's a 1970.
I was close.
Hey,
I was pretty close. I had a 71 Nova.
That thing has been sitting at the body shop for almost 8 years. It's been sitting at the body shop for almost 8 years. It's time for me to fix it. And I don't want
to. You never do. I tell you what, you never do. Never do.
I mean, I literally got every piece of metal on it with the exception of the roof. Right. I got new floors. I got new trunks. I got new wheelhouses, inner and outers, new quarters, new doors, new fenders, new trunk.
Wow. I struggled on the rear quarters on that 71 Nova. Trying to get a perfect body line on that, re-welding or ticking it in or whatever. And I failed miserably. I got the trunk in, I got the floor panels in. They looked really, really, really good. And then I was terrified to cut into that rear quarter. So
I've got an entire 40 years worth, and my dad was a body man. So it don't scare me to do it. It's just a matter of like,
do I want to do it?
No, even when I was young, that's a 2-month-long project of working every single day.
Right.
Even when I was young, and now the last one of these I did was over 25 years ago.
Jeez. Ray, what blows my mind is you're such an amazing individual, and you have so much life left out of you, and you have so many trips. The time is now more than ever, Ray. I mean, really, it is. The time is now more than ever to really, align all those different trips and get the car done. And, you got on Frozen Gold, and people like myself, for instance, I am a big fan of yours, and I appreciate all that you have done, not only in the prospecting community, but all the other things that you've done on YouTube, and me talking to you this evening with your car project, that touch bases with me, because like I said, I bought a 71 Nova. I didn't know what the hell to do with it, didn't know what I was doing. I tinkered on motors my whole life since I was a teenager, so I knew how to build the 400 small block or 400 big block. I mean, I've done all that stuff, but seeing all of that,
never be afraid. Even if you fuck up, it's still never be afraid.
Well, and that's the funny thing is, when I started that car, I knew some shit was fucked up in that motor, but it ran. It started, I knew the carburetor was off. I knew, some of the valve springs was off, but, hearing that thing run, all that time, all that effort, getting bitched at, yelled at. It's dinner time, not eating my dinner. It's cold as shit. Now I'm eating it. You know, all those different nights that I spent so many hours on any specific project, it pays off in the end, you know, and gold prospecting, that's like, you know, hand in hand 110%, because, you know, you go and search something and you spend so much time and so many hours and gas just to get there, and you're getting yelled at by your other half, and, you know, there's so many different principles that play a factor. But then you find that gold and you bring that gold home. That just fixed all the yelling. That fixed all the gas.
Actually,
And then the next thing that happens is you have a podcast. The natural progression.
Yeah.
right. I mean,
I found some gold today. Where's the computer?
Dude, there's always, you know, that's the other thing. There's always a chance of failing. I mean, I came back from Greenland and I was disheartened. I was bummed. You know, I didn't find the gold.
Right.
I know it's there. I didn't find it. And here I thought I was a pretty good miner, and I didn't find it.
Right.
And at first I was really kicking myself in the ass for it, you know.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna, you know, put it on national freaking TV. Like, yeah, look at Ray, that dumbass. You know, he didn't get it.
Right.
But you just gotta go out there and you look at yourself and say, well, you know what? I tried.
Well, the thing is with me, Ray, and it's funny you bring that up, because I was just going to fucking bring that up, is the simple fact that we were just talking about how all these different opportunities started opening up for you. You went to Greenland, dude. You went to Greenland. You dug. You had this experience of a fucking lifetime, regardless of how much of a mess it was. You had this experience. And now you hold that near and dear to your heart and in your head for the rest of your life.
And I'd do it again.
Exactly.
I would do it again.
You know how many people have watched that show and was like, I would die to be next to Ray and be able to dig and try to prospect and find the gold. I would have looked here or here or here. You see what I mean? So for you to be able to actually get on a plane, then get on a ferry, then get in a car, and then in another car, and then to this hospital and do all that, you'd do it again.
Yeah, I do it again. The boating, Greenland was an incredible. I mean, I thought living in Southeast Alaska, I'd seen the prettiest boating ever in the world.
Right.
I was wrong. I mean, if you're taking a boat and you see an iceberg that's taller than a 4-story building and wide as a city block.
Holy shit.
And it's blocking your way in, and then you've got a gap right between it that's just barely wide enough for your boat. And then you go through that gap and you're going, is the propeller going to break off?
My butt would be puckering like 100%. I'd be dead.
Right? Back out, and you're fighting, you know, 5 and 8 foot waves.
Wow.
Ocean swells. I mean, an ocean swell. Boom, 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 boom.
And there's Ray sitting in the cabin.
Laughing like it was freaking awesome, dude. Freaking awesome. Oh my God, it was the most magical thing. It was, I mean, I've been very blessed. I mean, I got to say, I've been very blessed. I've got to do so many neat things in my life. And it's all just because it's like, well, you know, why not?
Why not? That's the funny thing. Like when I first got into gold prospecting, I got a little short story here. When I first got into prospecting, you know, I thought it was a big time joke for me personally, because, you know, I'm big time outdoorsy. I used to go fishing every single weekend. And in the Pacific Northwest, we have 1,000 different lakes within an hour drive. And so I was hitting every lake. I was camping at every different area. I mean, I was out there 24/7 as much as I possibly could. And, you know, when I first was told that I could find gold in certain creeks and this and that, and I just thought they were full of shit. And so, I was taken up there, up north in Washington here, up past Ione, and my life was changed completely. And it was like micro fly poop bullshit. You just throw it and toss it, and I'm not dealing with this shit. And I saw it and I said, "Is this real gold?" And yeah, it's real gold. And I'm like, "You're bullshitting. This isn't. It's real gold." And I'm like, "It's real gold." And it got irritated. And it's like, it's fucking gold. Like it's good. And at that point in time, I'm like, whoa, okay. So my whole philosophy and my whole understanding of going out camping just elevated to the max. It's not just going out and cooking and fishing and hiking this trail and hiking that trail. Now I'm looking at
places to camp where you can I can get to these places within an hour of this camp.
Yeah, now I'm like looking at every fucking rock that I've never looked at rocks the same again, So those experiences have changed my life. So with you going to Greenland, that's just an epic experience of a lifetime.
But gold is also kind of like you said, a double-edged sword. Okay, I live in Juneau. There's gold in Juneau. Okay, but it's also Alaska. It's cold in the wintertime. You can't always get the gold. And we were talking about lithic metals and stuff like that, and you've had other guests here and there.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually have became part of the people that would actually buy dirt to pan, and but even when you do buy dirt, some of it's darn expensive. But but it's fun to pan.
Oh yeah.
My personal preference is I pan for gold. That's my personal preference. These containers are fairly expensive to buy. This is like the 4-pounder.
Right.
The other day, a young man that I know, I've known him since he was born. Well, I hadn't seen him in many, many years, and I learned that he's actually working on a fishing boat here in June, here in Alaska. And he was just really bored. He came by and he just say hi to me again. And he's colorblind. He's especially one eye. One eye is really colorblind, really bad. But he wanted to try gold panning. So I was sitting here and I had one of these containers, and I pulled out one scoop and I put it in there and I let him pan it. And he's seen it, and then it slipped out of the pan right into the panning bucket. Like, oh man, it sucks. And it's like, dude, reach your hand right in the water right there, grab it back and throw it back in the gold pan. Really? I said, well, yeah, don't you?
It doesn't disappear.
That's what the tub's for, bro.
So he reached in there and he grabbed a handful and put it back in there, and he panned it, and he was being way more careful that time. And mind you, this kid's only maybe 28 years old, 26, 28 years old now. I don't know how old David is nowadays. Been a long time since I've seen the little shit. And then he goes, there it is again. I can't believe it. He says, even colorblind, that's it right there, ain't it, Ray? I go, yep, that's it. That's the gold. He goes, I can see it. I can see
gold.
That's such a damn good feeling.
That was a brand spanking new $400 tub of gold.
Right.
That I had. And he was getting ready to go on the herring run. So he was leaving his car. As a matter of fact, it's still in my freaking yard right now. This only happened just a couple of weeks ago. So he left his car here and he got on the fishing boat, and he's motorboating over to Sitka, which is out by the ocean. I don't know. It's a little over 200, maybe 300 miles away, by the ocean. As the crow flies, a little shorter than that, but they're going over there to get the herring eggs. It's a big seine boat. They're going to seine up all these all these herring fishes. He texted me, goes, look, and he's got a whole vial because I gave him not only a gold pan,
You hooked him up.
I hooked him up with everything. I gave him jet dry. I gave him some jet dry and a pan and tub.
You just gave him gold fever is what you did.
You couldn't believe how happy, and he stank to high hell. I mean, that's some bitch. He probably hadn't had a good warm bath. He smelled the diesel and fish.
Oh yeah.
But here he was. He finally get back on his phone, and he sent me this picture of the gold vial with the gold in it, and just beaming. So here I am. I'm blowing $400 for my own entertainment, and then it's like, well, you know what? That's more worth it, and I gave it away.
Yep. No, we over at Prospecting Buddy, we've had some really, really amazing. We gave away a couple of different things on a couple different giveaways, and I got a couple of personal messages, and it really tugged my heartstrings because the first thing that really tugged my heartstrings was a specific individual's niece, and she was only probably 4 or 5 years old, and she had the Prospecting Buddy t-shirt on and a gold pan, and she said, "Thank you, Prospecting Buddy." And that just melted my heart, because getting those youngins into gold prospecting and keeping the tradition alive is just such an amazing thing. So for me,
at that age, they're entertained by a cardboard box. But
yeah.
To see it happen to a grown adult that didn't have nothing to do but make money.
28-year-old, yeah, and to see him that excited, yeah. And that's the funny thing about gold is, you could go from 5 years old all the way up to a grown man. And my example, when I saw gold in the pan, it was micro fly poop, and you couldn't even suck it up with a snuffer bottle if you wanted to, kind of deal. I was so extremely excited that I was hooked, and here I am now, podcast and claims and this, that, and here I am so involved in the community. I'll tell you this, I've never been more involved in anything in my entire life more than I am involved with the gold community. I mean,
I don't know if I can say that, because at one point in my life, I had the remote control society.
Right.
And, yeah. Because I've actually literally flown model airplanes. I've flown model airplanes in Canada, Indiana, California, Florida. I have met incredible people.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's that same feeling. It's that same feeling that you get as the thing that blows my mind the most, and we'll kind of get away from gold prospecting for a couple of seconds, is humans. We have emotions, and we have so many millions of different neurons, and so many different things going on as a human being, right? But no matter what passion you're in, when you connect with other folks, with other humans, and you guys have that same passion, you get this special kind of feeling that you don't get anywhere else. And it could be in building airplanes, it could be in prospecting, it could be in rock hounding, but there's just that special feeling that you get, that you just get hooked on. When
you're in a group, it kind of goes back to frozen gold. I mean, I didn't know those other people, but at the same time, I instantly had to look at it as, okay, this is a TV program. This is a job. This is a group.
Right.
How can I connect with people that I don't know?
Right.
Even if I don't care for what they're doing, I've still got to be nice.
Yeah.
You got to try to help somebody out. And if you do your darndest to help somebody, even if it's a weird situation,
right,
you're doing the right damn thing. If you're doing the right damn thing, you're going to
Amen to that, Ray. Amen to that, man.
Or not, whether you're right or wrong, at least you tried. At least and it's kind of like going,
Amen to that. That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. I'm freaking glad as hell you brought that up. That's the funny thing with prospecting, buddy. And I can't say this enough, is we try to promote positivity in the most biggest aspect. But like we talked about earlier, you're going to have people that are just going to be extremely negative no matter what you say to them, no matter what you do. But that's the thing, is if you can, even if it's the right or wrong, if you can teach somebody some knowledge on, you call it a weekend warrior or a hobby or a full-fledged miner, if you can give some kind of knowledge to that next person, you did what you were supposed to do. That's the proof is in the pudding right then and there.
Yep. But I do want to, I will take this, I want to take an opportunity to, we're talking about frozen gold and we're talking about television. Folks got to realize too, put yourself out there on TV. You have to be careful and always look at it as it's just a small window. Never put your expectations all. It's kind of like a job. You don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
Go in there, do the best you can, and walk away and then wait.
Right.
Don't put too much stock in it because, it could be a complete failure. I'm not saying don't try. But go in there with a little bit of
conservative, being conserved a little bit.
Because TV people, they don't give two shits about you.
Right.
They don't,
Right. Well, that's obvious that they sent you up there completely blind. Not knowing anybody you're digging with, their history.
Well, I think, and that's the thing with frozen gold. I think, my full-blown take on frozen gold, and I won't say any more as far as my take goes, is they had the right idea in mind. They had some type of situation planned.
Right.
But I think the execution of that plan and that idea in mind failed miserably.
Well, I failed too because they tried to have me build a grocery list. Well, I didn't have a way to communicate with a person that lives in Greenland.
Oh shit.
And find out what's available in Greenland and what do I need to bring there. They did give me, the opportunity to build the grocery list. And I built a pretty big grocery list of things that the production company needed to be there.
Right.
But I failed to get everything I needed because I just didn't fucking know.
Right. Well,
there are a lot of mistakes on my behalf. And I got to say, a lot of the mistakes that happen on frozen gold is probably on my ass. It's on.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ray. Like I said, with frozen gold, I absolutely enjoyed it because it's something new, it's something reinvigorating, and at the end of the day, I don't care who tells me differently. The prospecting and mining community has slowly started to die off. The old timers, the knowledge, the communication, all that shit slowly has died off. And so, the more that gets reintroduced into the community, the better. And like we said earlier, it may not be right. It could be wrong.
Yeah.
But we're still bringing that. We're still keeping it afloat. We're still doing what we need to do, if not more, to keep it going. And that right there with the show Frozen Gold, for me, I was still excited. Yeah.
Look at what YouTube's done too. It's reaching a lot of people that had no idea. I can't believe how many people I speak to. They're like, "You paying for gold?"
Yeah, thousands of people went to California and they had no idea what they were doing.
Yep.
And maybe only 100 people made it. And I'm just one person that's tried to go to Greenland, fairly new, and I came close. I came damn close.
Well, that's definitely the pioneer spirit, right?
Well, I got a comment.
where you don't go and see if there's anything there.
I got a comment here for Ray, and I'm going to let Ray read this instead of me reading it out loud. I'm going to put it up on the screen for you, Ray. This is from Mr. Badass Heavy Metal Detective.
Last year before Ray left, he had worries about going. A bunch of us told him to go live, go live the dream. I'm personally proud of him for going and pursuing his passion. No regrets, buddy. You did great. Well, thanks.
That's awesome.
That's the positivity, Ray. That's the positivity. That's the thing about the community is regardless of mistakes, failures, the community is always going to be there for you. Be there for me, be there for Arrow, be there for every single individual that is chasing their dream and their passion and what they're pursuing.
Yeah.
So like I said, my take on Frozen Gold, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, there was a lot of fuck ups and hiccups and this, that, and the other, but at the end of the day, there was an original plan. There was an original way of things going about the right way, and the execution failed. And so at the end of the day, it was a positive for the community.
Every single day that we were there, the camera crew, like you said, they have an idea what they want filmed.
Right.
So every evening they would come into my tent after hours, say, okay, Ray, we need the story to go this way, and this way. This needs to happen. What can you do? And I'll think about it. It's like, okay, well, actually you can't do this, but we can change it a little bit to this, and you can still get your scene.
Right.
Because we don't have this, we're going to have to do it this way. So every single day they did come in with an idea what they wanted to see.
Right.
But then it was up to me to go ahead and say, well, no, you're not going to be able to do it that way, but we can do it this way, and it'll still make television.
Right. Well, and it's funny, we got a few more comments. This is from Alan Barnett. He says, hopefully as a greenhorn, I can be on a podcast someday. Ray, you got it going on. Much love. Another one from One More Pan, badass Mr. Derek. He says, there's a good backbone in the community. We got another one here, Ray. David Vila, he says, sending the love, buddy. And then
goddamn Vila, that son of a bitch needs to get a camera.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah.
We got another one here.
Vila.
We got another one here from Mr. Heavy Metal Detective. He says, Ray helped out my crap panning skills or lack thereof.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those deals where the gold mining community has been a blessing to me. I mean, ever since I got into it, I didn't know that I would find another hobby that was as passionate when I left model airplaning. But I have learned that, there's also, there's a wee bit of cutthroatery. But then again, I think there's always a wee bit of cutthroatery in every little thing you're going to do.
Well, that's
airplane's like, well, my engine's faster than yours, and then they prove it.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is with the prospecting and mining community, and some of the take that I take from it is that shit is dying out. It's still there and it's potent, but it's dying out. With COVID and all the shit that's gone on, we've seen such an uptick in people getting out and discovering that they can find gold and instead of just going camping like me, you can find. So, it's still there and it's still potent and it still is having its own stance, but I think it's trickled. I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. Back in the day it was, I'll never tell you where my spot is, and I'm going to die with that to my deathbed.
Well, I guarantee you, and even Sonny Rico from Evergreen Prospecting can tell you too. Be damn careful.
Yeah.
Be damn careful about where you post your spot, because I guarantee you, if you become popular on YouTube and you're posting it on YouTube,
right?
You're posting it in a gold forum.
And will get found. It will get found.
Will get found, and your spot will disappear. I mean,
Yep.
I thought it was all great fun and games posting how much gold I was getting on that beach.
Right.
That there was a certain band of gold that over the years and years and years that nobody had touched it had accumulated a concentration. Well, that band of sand material that had taken years to accumulate got sucked up by about 15 miners.
Jeez.
As soon as I posted that video, within 2 years, there was over 15 local guys out there doing exactly what I was doing
Yeah.
with the exact same equipment, and they raped it. It was gone.
Well, and that's the thing. That's the thing too. Is you know, there's always that fine gray line, and I can't explain that enough to all the guys that help with PB. There's always that fine gray line, right? And it depends on the specific situation, and I can't say that enough because there's certain situations where the gold is absolutely plentiful, and there's situations where the gold isn't that much plentiful. And the second that gold's gone, you're absolutely irritated with yourself that there is now 15 different people mining exactly where you were mining that would have been years and years of gold for you. So there's always that fine gray line with that type of situation. And, you know,
did I help a buddy out, prospecting buddy? Did I help a buddy out, or did I fuck myself?
Well, we know what happened there.
I call them the other prospector. You know, I kind of categorize prospectors, and you know, the ones that are out just to get rich. You know, whether it's on their back or somebody else's. Yeah, I call them the other prospectors.
Well, not really. I mean, because the 15 guys that came out there to the beach, I mean, they were just average Joes looking for something to do too.
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that fine gray line that you either cross or don't cross is up to your discretion. And with prospecting, buddy, it's been kind of different in some aspects. In some aspects, it hasn't been. But you know, there's certain places where it is plentiful, and bring a buddy. You know, make sure you're safe. You're not doing it by yourself. You have a line of communication, so on and so forth. And then there's other there's other situations where you're not too far from town, and you know, if the second you put it on YouTube or wherever else, that it's going to be dried up, and then now you're looking for another spot. So with prospecting, buddy, we've had to kind of juggle this fine gray line with you know, locations and this, that, and the other. And you know, as long as individuals, me, you, Ray, Arrow, anybody else prospect, as long as you know where you stand with what you want to do, letting people know or letting people know.
If you're not willing to say, okay, I can afford to let this go.
Correct.
Don't post it.
Correct. Exactly. And that's what it boils down to.
But
I want.
You can say, well, this ain't mine. This is for everybody. This area is for everybody. Everybody should be able to enjoy the thrill of this area.
Right.
And post that. It's kind of like Cape Disappointment.
That's a great example.
Cape Disappointment's a great example. It's always going to get replenished. It's always a hard job. It's always a good spot to go.
Yep.
But only certain people are going to be willing to do the kind of work that it's going to take to get there and do it.
Yep.
Because I mean, you're huffing in a wagon load of buckets, a wagon load of you know, gold cubes, and
you're doing more shit than is probably worth the gold you're bringing home. But
it's fun. But
it's fun, and everybody can get out there. Everybody can enjoy doing what they're doing. Bring some gold home. So you know, that's the quintessential example. There is Cape Disappointment. You know, and I hope that the more that all of us can get on social media and out in the field, the more we can bring that attention to people. So that way they're not like, well, shit, you know, now my secret spot is no longer secret. Well, that was kind of your fault because you made a choice.
I think Mike Pung did the same thing with one of the beaches in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Yep.
Or Lake Michigan, one of those Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie. I don't know which one, but Mike Pung did the same thing. I mean, that's how he designed the gold cube.
Yeah.
To be able to get the gold out of that area. And then he realized, well, this is going to be here forever. Let's go ahead and we're going to make an invention.
Yeah.
We're going to sell the invention, and we're also going to sell the spot because the spot is going to be here forever.
Plentiful.
We're going to be able to enjoy the gold here forever.
Yep. So, I mean,
there's times that you can be the world's buddy. Not just a prospecting buddy, you can be the world's buddy.
Right.
But there's times you better keep your fucking mouth shut.
Or else that gas that you just paid for is there's no gold equivalent to where you're going anymore.
So it's a fine line of when to be a dickhead and when to be the greatest guy in the earth.
I agree to that 100%. And that's the thing with prospecting, buddy. We've had a lot of obstacles that we've had to get over, and conversations that went many more hours than it should have ever went. But at the end of the day, like we've talked about, it's about education. The more you educate, the more you bring I don't want to say common sense, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's common sense. The more you bring that attention to more individuals, the better sense they get, because there's some people that just get into it, find a really good spot. They're still full-blown greenhorns, and they start letting all their friends know. And next thing you know, like you said, you go back to your spot, and you're not finding a damn thing anymore.
Right.
So it boils down to, like we said, it boils down to common sense. Is it plentiful? Is it going to be around for years and years and years? Is it a claim that you would love to have people come and work with you, or when you're not there? It boils down to those different aspects. But
just like frozen gold. I mean, one of my biggest goals was actually to go there and help Alexander. Now, there's a good chance that Alexander, the location of where that claim is, that could be a tourist attraction for the rest of his life.
Right.
Because it is next to the only hot spring in all of Greenland. And that hot spring has been used as a tourist attraction for countless
decades.
For countless years.
Yeah.
And then just so happened, if you spend $150 more, come on over here and I'll show you how to pan gold.
That's badass. That is badass.
So I did my darndest to actually give Alexander proof of concept of you can do this, dude. It's possible. Right. You run this big high banker. You get a whole bunch of concentrates. You have these concentrates available for people to pan in this tent, in this big long panning tub, and then boom, you just made money.
Well, and now you have a business that'll last a lifetime.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now, you got to think about the big picture of everything you go ahead and do. I mean, everywhere you go, think about the big picture. Is it going to be worth helping them, or is it like, no, this is just a dud?
Well, and that's what it boils down to. We were talking about that earlier, Ray, with the whole monetization and cash and business and this, that, and the other. Now more than ever, it's pretty freaking crazy to me. I've seen a transition in the community. And what I mean by that is the amount of help that people are getting more than ever to not buy shitty gold bags, to not invest in shitty sluices, to not, it wasn't like that not too far off. It wasn't. People just bought whatever they could online and took it down to this area, and that was that. But now with social media absolutely exploding, people are like dude, you're going to lose all your money buying that bag. Dude, this breaks this way or this, so.
Well, there's everything. I mean, there's a lot of gold equipment out there, and everything will work if you're willing to just trial and error until you make it figure out. It's like me with Gold Hog. I love Gold Hog products. Absolutely love them to death. But I blew a lot of money on some mattings and matting configurations with the water speeds that did not work.
Right.
Until I found the situation that worked for this sand and this water
that area.
Yeah. And this angle. And, it took me a lot of learning. You're not going to just go ahead and walk up and do that. What's that one asshole on YouTube, Mavro Zoe or something like that, where he's walking around with a shovel and picking up a nugget that big around. Okay, I'll toss this one back. That's not big.
Gold painted rock.
Yeah, they're all gold painted rock, and yet he's got millions of views.
Yeah, that's the problem is those millions of views are people potentially wanting to get into gold prospecting. That's right. The freaking problem is, people see false advertising and false pay dirt bags and they get all super excited and, well, I got a little bit extra money on this paycheck. And then they get deterred from what it's all really about and being able to stake their own claim and being able to take their family out on that claim and barbecue and fish and find gold and the true values of prospecting. And that's what it boils down to is providing all of those new people into the proper education that they need. And it's not hard. It's not rocket science education. It's them people finding
people need to study and think.
That's what it is.
Do it.
And people finding Ray Rusaw's videos on YouTube to pan better.
Right. Well, I mean, there's just a whole long list of shit you can do to prepare yourself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time.
If you go into shit blind with blind expectations, you're going to fuck up.
Oh, big time. There's, I've told this story before, but I don't know how many damn times I wasted gas driving by myself, super not safe, just to go and find 2 more pieces of gold fly poop because I was super excited. I had a shitty ass gold pan. I didn't scuff it. Didn't know what I was doing, but I just said the hell with it. Got in the car, wasted so much money on it. And now here I am, with my 3-in-1. I know what to look for, where to look for it, what to run, what not to run, what mats to, it's all about education. Go and look it up. Go and do your research. Go and, watch it.
And knowing back
get out there and put feet on the ground because, that's the most important thing.
Watching a YouTube video on how to pan versus going out there and doing it yourself, good luck, buddy.
The best thing about pay dirt for new people is it teaches them what gold looks like in the pan.
One of the best cartoons I ever seen was that Charlie Brown one where he says, "Stupid is supposed to hurt." You're going to make a mistake. Everything you do, you were talking about your Nova, or we're talking about an airplane, or we're talking about gold panning, or we're talking about relationships. Stupid's gonna hurt.
Yep.
Pay attention to what you're doing. Do your due diligence, and you might get lucky. You might not, but at least you tried.
That's where it's at. Arrow, we got to put "stupid is gonna hurt" on the back of a t-shirt.
I like it. Stupid is gonna hurt.
Stupid is gonna hurt. That's for damn sure.
But you're gonna learn it's worth it. Stupid is worth it. I mean, it really is. Yeah. Because you won't forget it.
You won't forget it. I promise you that. I have not forgotten all the skunk trips I've had and the stupid shit that I've bought that I've thrown in the dump or given away. And yeah, but at the end of the day,
or yelling at a brown bear. Not a good idea. Stupid hurts. Stupid really hurts bad.
Well, Ray, we're coming to the end of the podcast. I noticed that you usually buy a specific pay dirt.
Yep, I pay for gold.
I want to send something to Ray's way. And Arrow, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Really?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I have an idea.
Well, why don't you explain it?
No, put me on the spot.
Yes, sir.
You're the one that go for it.
Go for it. Well, Ray, I want to send you something. I want to send you something that's very special. We're coming out with something in May. It's going to be a very extremely limited run. It's going to be super cheap. People are going to be so fucking excited. It's not even funny. It's going to be practically giving shit away. I want to give you something and tell me, I want an honest answer on the difficulty of the black sand, what kind of stuff you find in there. But I want to send you something, and I would love to have an honest review. You don't got to go on YouTube, none of that shit. Just message me, tell me what you thought about it, and go from there. But we're not going to start no pay dirt selling, shit like that. We're just wanting to come out with, just for the PB family exclusively, we're going to come out with, and I've talked about this on the last podcast we did. We're coming out with 5 bags. I'm going to make you a 6th one. One of them was actually just recently given away for a auction for the late great.
If it's Cape D dirt, shove it up your ass.
No, there isn't. But it's one of these bad boys. It's one of these, Ray. It's called the Prospecting Buddy Sourdough Pay Dirt Bag. I'm
just kidding. That was kind of funny for Rico if he's still listening.
No, I've heard a lot about Cape D. I have heard more than enough about Cape D.
I tell you what. But again, Cape D dirt is fun to pan. If you're willing to be patient, and you want good practice, if somehow, some way, a person has a way to get Cape Disappointment sand, and you want to get really frustrated, I mean, because it's worth the mental thought, because it'll always be in the back of your head after you see it.
Arrow, I got a couple of really good buddies by Cape D. I think we need to stuff some Cape D in this bad boy for them.
The only other dirt that I've actually had as much trouble with Cape D is I got a bag of dirt from one of the rivers that comes down out of the Appalachian Mountains into Arkansas. And it was a hematite bag, non-magnetic.
Oh,
shit. It was full of garnet. I mean, just chock full of hematite and garnet, and there was gold in it. And I'll tell you what, that was a difficult panning son of a gun. That was a difficult son of a gun. Matter of fact, let me go get that.
He's going to go grab it. Go grab it, Ray.
I got one.
I'm extremely excited now, Arrow, to send him one of these. What do you think, man?
Absolutely. I like the Cape D idea. Casey and I were just talking about getting together and trying to plan some sort of overnight trip going prospecting. Maybe we'll go down to Cape D.
This was from my good friend Lou Atwell, her and her husband. Let me see if I can get this focus in. Oops.
Pretty awesome.
Oh, that's a hell of a name. I freaking love that. Holy shit.
And I guarantee you, that shit right there is a pain in the ass. Because it is not magnetic. You're not going to suck it up with a magnet. He ain't going to. You got to sit there and you have to pan that dirt.
Oh, yeah.
Cape D, fortunately, Cape D is actually mostly magnetic. If you're careful and you take your time, you can suck most of it off, and not have a problem with it. Lose dirt with pure hematite, toilet water? Nah.
Oh, I love the name of that. That is absolutely freaking badass. That's funny.
Yeah, I really appreciate Jaron and Arrow. I really appreciate the opportunity to sit here and BS with you.
I have one more question for you.
Sure,
It's
go ahead,
something
lay it
that
on me.
we've asked all of our guests, I'm pretty sure. What's your best gold weigh?
My best gold weigh for my own personal day was probably 6 years ago, 21 grams
Wow.
Jeez.
in 5.5 hours. Well, actually, it was 5.5 hours dredging, but it was a full day because I got up and I left the house here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't actually put it on the scale till damn near 9 o'clock at night.
Holy shit, that's a hell of a way up. I gotta say, that's not even close to my best. I don't even want to say my best now. Holy shit.
That was my best goal. But there was nothing above 100 mesh.
Wow, holy shit.
Or nothing above 100. I would say probably 70% of that was 100 mesh, and the remaining 30% was probably 200 mesh and finer, 200 and 300 mesh.
Oh, that's like a gold sludge.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Arrow, I'm gonna put you on your spot, buddy. What was your best gold weigh?
Probably 3/4 of a gram.
That's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. I won't tell you what mine is. I'm leaving that. I'm leaving that. No, I'm leaving.
What's your best way? Let's hear it.
Mine was only 1.3. 1.3 grams. Yeah. 1.3 grams. And I was over the fucking hills for that bad boy. I tell you what.
3/4 of a gram.
You pull up Doc's big video of Alaska beach mining from the Gold Hog website YouTube page, and you'll see that was probably some of the best kick-ass gold we'd had.
Right.
I mean, it was pretty gold. It was damn pretty.
I just love super, super fine gold when it's cleaned up and pure. It just looks so silky in the pan. It just looks
just silky.
Well, that's the thing is that was my best cleanup. I have been given gold by my uncle, but it wasn't me going and running more dirt than you could possibly imagine. So it doesn't count. Right. It doesn't count.
That one weekend, I got 21 grams.
Jesus, 21 fucking grams.
And then I think Russ Rifle actually had something like 28 grams. And then Marcelo cheated. He had 4 days worth of gold. And there was over 4 ounces of gold in Marcelo's gold.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Well, we have the PB road trip coming up. We're going through 5 different states, testing multiple claims, meeting up with Shannon and Dave and a bunch of other really cool guys around the network. And so hopefully my best clean out will surpass what I have currently with as much time as
a 1 ounce clinker, man. Boom.
Oh shit. Well, we that's the funny thing is we said this. We said, okay, with the guys going on the road trip, you find a picker, you find a nugget, it's yours. Anything else goes into the PB pot, and we do giveaways with it and so on and so forth. So the problem would be is if me and Arrow are running the banker and we find a 1 ounce fucking nugget, what happens then?
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, I hate to cut it short, but I'm needing a piss break anyway. So
no worries. Well,
thanks for the opportunity to hang out with you, Isles, and I hope your channel was great.
No, I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you for jumping on the podcast this evening, Ray. Arrow, first time, buddy.
The twins, tell them I said hi.
I definitely will, Ray. I'm going to get them on here in the next, in either May or June, and we'll definitely be talking about you. So I hope you could tune into that podcast. Yep. And
they tried hard. I mean, we all put our best foot forward trying to make a television show. It was difficult, but we did.
You guys kicked ass. You guys kicked ass.
3 freaking months in Greenland.
No, you guys kicked ass.
That's 3 months away. Those ladies spent 3 months away from their children, their husbands,
Right.
their mom. You know,
No.
we all gave up a lot of sacrifice to make the TV show. It was fun. I wish I'd have found more gold, but
it was worth it.
it was worth it.
All right, Ray. Well, I appreciate you. Everybody watching this evening, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your guys' lives to jump on here and bullshit
Absolutely.
with us and drop some comments in there.
Remember, this is Easter Sunday, and you know, take a moment on Sunday to say a good word to the Lord above, and
That's right. Put your prayers in.
for your fellow man. Okay.
Put your prayers in. I appreciate that, Ray.
All right.
So everybody else, you guys have a good night. Ray, you have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
See you on the next turn.
See you guys.